Drum brakes last roughly 150,000 miles before they need to be replaced. Meanwhile, you can keep them in top working order. Maintaining your brakes ensures maximum performance throughout their lifetime. In this video, we're going to clean the hardware, grease the contact points, brush away the rust, and make any adjustments if necessary. We begin by lifting the vehicle up onto jack stands. Remove the back wheels and chalk the front end with blocks. With the car secure on jack stands and with the wheels chalked, we can release the parking brake. If you don't, you'll never be able to remove the drums. Before you start disassembly, it would be a good idea to take a picture of the completed brake. If you get lost or confused, you could always refer to the picture and figure out where everything goes. Or better yet, check the drum brake on the other side and use it as your reference. We remove the adjuster spring at the top. Now we remove the lower return spring at the bottom. What we're doing is removing the hardware and freeing the shoes from the backing plate. You remove the hold-down spring by pushing the cup in and turning. The pin then comes out behind the backing plate. Once the two springs are disconnected, the tension is released and everything comes apart very easily. Next, we take the shoe, flip it over, press in on the spring, and dislodge the shoe from the parking brake cable. This can be tricky, so let's see it again, this time on the other side of the car. Some of the hardware is pretty beat up, but still serviceable. I'll let the hardware soak in brake cleaner while we move on to other things. I'm using a wire wheel to remove the rust from the hub and drum. This will break up the rust bond between the two and make it a lot easier to remove the drum in the future. At 100,000 miles, there's going to be a lot of brake dust to spray away, a lot of grime in general. But don't use compressed air, use brake cleaner to spray it off. You want everything free of grease, rust, dirt before putting everything back on the car again. The emergency brake lever feels kind of stiff, so I'm using WD-40 on the hinge. That's definitely a lot looser than before. Now I'm connecting the lever to the emergency brake cable. The shoes come into contact with the backing plate at these 6 points. A lot of cars have squeaky brakes because these contact points become corroded. Brush and spray the contact points before adding a dab of grease to each one. Then we can flip up the shoe and start reassembling the hardware. First, the upper return spring. Take note of the exact holes I'm using to hook the spring. I install the upper return spring first because it goes behind the star wheel and the adjuster spring. You can't reach it once the adjuster lever is in place. Now let's go to the other side and see it again, starting with the parking cable. We have two springs on top, each shaped a little differently. The upper return spring has that curved shape designed to go behind the star wheel. Just like the other side, we'll install it first. This is the adjuster assembly, also called the parking brake adjuster. It's good to add a dab of grease to the end point here, where the star wheel rotates. The upper return spring is in place, and now I'm sliding the adjuster behind the hub and into the slots in the two shoes. The hold-down springs can now be put in place. These will have the effect of locking the shoes to the backing plate. The pin goes in from behind, the spring, and the cup. This is the adjuster lever, and I'll put it into place now. The lever swivels on a hinge and connects up with a slot in the adjuster arm. The adjuster spring is designed to fit in front of the star wheel. The straight end of the spring hooks into the lever. The other end hooks into the leading shoe. This is where it connects at the leading shoe. Our first return spring was behind the star wheel. The lower return spring goes here. They're called return springs because they return the shoe back to the rest position. If your drums need adjusting, use a screwdriver and twist the star wheel. This will expand or contract the shoes depending on which direction you turn the wheel. Put the drum back on and turn to see if it's adjusted correctly. The drum should not spin freely. There should be some slight resistance as you turn. Then it's safe to add the wheel and lug nuts.